Data is the bedrock of success when it comes down to a successful brand. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of the times when it comes down to brand building, there's so many layers to it, and there's so many sort of things that you need to consider when you're building your brand, right? Especially when you're building a brand in a way that can actually generate revenue, right? And you know me, when it comes down to brand authority, I always look at brand authority as your personal brand multiplied by your business brand multiplied by your campaign brand. And then when you actually look into that a lot more in detail, those three core pillars alone, if you break them down, have so many layers of data points that you need to also consider and bear in mind when it comes down to having a successful brand and reaching that level of brand authority, right? If we just kick it off with the personal brand, with the personal brand, it's more so what you are doing to become more visible, to be more likable, to be someone that people look at and they just think, oh, I know this person. They gravitate towards you a lot more because they can trust you. All those areas are metrics and data points that you also need to consider. When it comes down to the amount of followers that you have, you need to also check to see how many people are actually watching your content. When it comes down to YouTube in particular, there's so many data points, but as I mentioned in one of my videos, you need to get started in order to start building to the point where you can actually have data to work with, right? Because if you don't have any data to work with, you don't know what people are watching, you don't know what people like about your content, and you don't know what particular pieces of content resonate most with your audience. And as you start to develop more content, you're going to have to start using the analytics and those data points to have a better understanding of what your audience is there for. And as you develop your brand and you develop the brand authority pillars based on your areas of interest, even that alone, you will start to then have an understanding of what particular areas or topics that you are immersed in and interested in align with your audience. Then you can start to see, based on the percentages of the videos that you talk about or you discuss, what videos are people likely to gravitate towards at this particular moment in time. Even for my videos, a lot of the videos that tend to have much more spikes or a lot more views in this moment in time comes down to me covering more timely topics, topics that are happening in real time. And as I say, most of the time you can go on my channel and then you will see me do a reaction to particular news stories and updates from a PR angle, because I still align what I do on a day to day with the content that I cover. Do you understand what I mean? So all those metrics is important for you to understand based on your personal brand, right? And then when we get in the business brand, that is the part when you showcase your level of credibility, knowing that you can do the work, knowing the work has been done. You have not only the proof, you not only the testimonials, but you also have the metrics to showcase the actual results that you've been able to produce. And those metrics are important. Those are the data points that will carry you forward, because you always have that to reinforce who you are, why your expertise are better than your competitors in that sense, why you are able to showcase that and document that. And when you have those data points and you align that with the data points of the content that you're able to put out as well, that is how you then start to build that loop. When I tell you about that content loop and how you're able to build an infinite amount of content, it comes down to having an understanding of what your audience and what your viewership like and what content they're looking forward to watching from you. And then you align that based on your pillars. And then when you actually have those pillars listed down and you know exactly what are the top 5 things that you cover within your remit and your industry, once you've done that, and then you know that within your business brand, the work speaks for itself. All the work that you've been doing, there's metrics and data points to suggest that you're doing a fantastic job. So you're then able to provide those metrics and those data points towards your content, especially for the ones that match up. You get what I mean? It's all about being able to marry your personal brand with your business brand in all various forms, especially from the data standpoint. And then when we get into the campaign side of things, the campaign is a short burst of activity, depending on the time duration. But that is the one that really shapes everything for you, because then you start to understand based on the frequency of the content that you put out. You start to understand based on the amount of coverage that you start to get when you start to pitch yourself towards journalists and publications. And then through those publications, you're then able to feed that back into your content loop towards your personal brand. And like I mentioned with the authority pillars, you can now align it with your authority pillars to then reinforce how you was able to secure that piece of coverage and provide that story of how you were able to do it, and then also showcase the metrics that has led to additional opportunity, right? That's why I say it's important, especially with like your websites and stuff like that. When it comes down to pitching with journalists, especially from a digital marketing perspective, when you start to have an understanding of the way that you can get backlinks into your articles or the pieces that are covered from journalists. And for those who are not familiar with backlinks, it's effectively the links that is included within the story that is sent to the publication that is then redirected to your website. Do you understand what I mean? So based on that, once you are able to get that backlink, not only does it help with your search engine optimization, because now your website is deemed as more authoritative because of the situation that now you have an actual platform that has linked back to your website. So it just makes it seem more credible and more legitimate, right? And then when you're able to do that, then you start to have an understanding of how your views effectively spike based on the viewership. You start to see the traffic, like even using Google Analytics, you start to be able to look at your data points. And when you get to the stage when you can look at the data for what it is, and you are able to then paint a picture based on that and then reinforce it back into your work, that's when you reach an infinite loop. That's what I mean when it comes down to that, because you're always able to produce content that has the data points that always marry up with each other, from your personal brand to your business brand to your campaign brand. So it is all an ecosystem of data points that you need to reinforce, or you need to align with, right? And there's so many various different metrics out there. Your job is to figure out what the metrics are that align the best for you in order to get the best result, to get to that level of brand authority. And if you don't know how to do that, then click in the description box and book a Phases Brand Authority Clarity call. It's a 20-minute call with me. Share your information. We can have a chat and I can let you know what I can do to help you if you are interested in having an understanding of how you can marry up your personal brand, your business brand, and your campaign brand to give you that level of brand authority that you need in order to scale and to generate more revenue and to build much more of a client pipeline, right? And then what I would say before I even end this video is that you need to also utilize the tools that has been given to us. You may not be someone that is particularly privy to using or understanding how to use the data, or how to read or understand how you can apply and incorporate that data to your work, to your brand, to your website, to all these various areas. And that's when I reinforce the importance of just using the AI tools that was given to us. You using ChatGPT, for example, and having your data to hand and being able to put that data into these AI tools will allow you to let that read the data the way that it's able to bring it back to you in a way that makes sense. And when you then start to understand how you can use that data, and you can literally ask ChatGPT to translate it into a way that makes sense for someone that has no idea about data and has no idea about the use of using analytics to drive business growth. That's all you really need to do if you want to do that in a way where you don't want to effectively have to invest too much money right now into building your brand authority. That way you can then use that as a way, and then over time you start to get used to it. You start to understand all the different metrics. You start to understand, and then you're able to effectively build a strategy for yourself that aligns with all three areas of your brand in a way that allows you to see that growth. However, the main important part of when you are doing these things is having that level of data hygiene. And that's where it gets a bit tricky for a lot of founders and business owners, because they just have so many spinning plates. I'm sure there's so much things that you're doing with your time. You just don't have time to be there having additional things that you need to be looking after as far as data is concerned, right? So with that, if you need that support, then I recommend to hire someone that's able to provide that level of data hygiene for you and to present it in a way that's clean enough for you to put within these AI bots to then provide an accurate, authentic depiction of your data in order for you to then read it as a way to showcase how you can develop and grow over time, right? So that's it for today. I hope this video helped. Please like, comment, and subscribe if this video was good and if it resonated with you. Please drop a comment if you have any questions as well. And I will catch you tomorrow. Look after yourself. Bless up.